The snowstorm swallowed the highway without mercy, and by the time the car stopped spinning, the world had turned white, silent, and deadly. The windshield was shattered, icy wind slicing through the broken glass like knives, and in the passenger seat his boss was shaking so violently her teeth clattered in terror. Her lips had already begun to turn blue when she whispered the words that would haunt him forever, "Please, don't make me undress." But the cold single dad staring at her knew that if he listened to her shame, she would not live to see morning. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet heroism of ordinary people, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, Kindness Stories. Stories like this remind us that even the coldest hearts can carry the warmest courage. Daniel Reyes had always been described as distant. Since his wife died 3 years earlier, grief had carved sharp edges into him. At 38, he balanced two worlds with mechanical precision, the construction site where he worked as a project supervisor, and the small apartment where he raised his 8-year-old daughter, Sophia. He woke before dawn, packed lunches, braided hair with clumsy fingers, and rarely smiled. His co-workers called him dependable. His daughter called him quiet. The world called him cold. His boss, Elena Whitmore, was everything he wasn't. 42 years old, sharp-eyed and impeccably dressed, she had built the construction firm from nothing after inheriting debt instead of fortune. She demanded excellence, expected loyalty, and tolerated no excuses. Daniel respected her, but he never tried to know her. To him, she was simply the woman who signed his paychecks and extended project deadlines. That winter evening, they had been driving back from a remote inspection site 2 hours outside the city. The sky had darkened faster than predicted. The radio warned of sudden snowfall, but neither anticipated the ferocity of what came next. The road iced over in minutes. A truck jackknifed ahead of them. Daniel swerved to avoid it, and the world spun in a violent blur of metal and glass before silence settled like a burial cloth. When he regained consciousness, the engine was dead. Snow poured through the broken window. The heater no longer worked. His phone had no signal. The truck was gone. They were alone in a white wilderness. Elena's ankle was twisted unnaturally, likely fractured. Worse than that, her soaked clothes clung to her skin. Snow had blown inside, melting and refreezing against her blouse and wool coat. Daniel recognized the signs because he had once nearly lost his wife to hypothermia during a hiking accident years ago. He remembered the paramedic's voice explaining that wet clothes steal warmth faster than the cold air itself. He remembered the guilt of not acting quickly enough. Elena's pride fought harder than the storm. Even through chattering teeth, she tried to insist she was fine. But her breathing grew shallow. Her eyelids fluttered. The human body surrenders to cold quietly, deceptively. Daniel forced himself to think not as an employee, not as a man embarrassed by the vulnerability of his powerful boss, but as a father who could not let another person die on his watch. He scanned the car for anything usable. A thermal emergency blanket from the trunk, a spare hoodie, the seat covers. The only chance she had was dry insulation. When he told her what needed to be done, fear flickered across her face, not fear of him, but fear of helplessness. She had built a life on control. Now she had none. Her plea was not vanity, it was the raw instinct to hold on to dignity when everything else was slipping away. The wind howled louder, rocking the car. Daniel turned his back as much as the cramped space allowed, hands steady despite the tremor in his chest. He spoke firmly, not unkindly, focusing on survival, not shame.